I have no idea what everybody's saying for your pick for clown of the season, but think hard about it. Think very, very hard about it. Is my mic really loud for some reason? We're going to try and fix that. I've lowered the gain of my mic a bit. I don't think that really helped. Here, let's do this. We're going to lower the mic volume down to 0, and that should have fixed it. Sorry, it looked like my mic was really, really loud for some reason, but I guess we'll figure that out in due time. Anyway, think real hard about your pick for clown of the season. There are a variety of answers. And let me be clear, clown of the season doesn't necessarily mean the worst team, just the one who makes the biggest ass of themselves. All right, well, I'll be on in just a moment, everybody, so stay tuned. Okay, then. Well, I feel like that's enough wasting everybody's time. Why don't we just go ahead and roll with the show, shall we? I think you guys are ready. Ceiling fan. Very, very nice ceiling fan. I had to turn it off because it got really, really cold in this room all of a sudden. And now you get to see the much less sexier me, but I am here. Good day, everybody. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday night. It has been a very, very forgettable. I'll say it like this. It's been a very forgettable week for me. Very, very forgettable. Starting with this week, I had some issues come up. Got super depressed. Thankfully, I've gotten past that. Hold on, I haven't cleaned up in a little while. You can tell. Damn it. I'm emptying that out tomorrow. Okay, anyway, it has been a very forgettable week. Obviously, I had an episode starting last week, Sunday night, but I've gotten past that. And then, of course, this really sucks. Yesterday morning, my grandmother passed. So, yeah, very forgettable week for me. That is never something anybody wants to go through, is seeing the death of one of your relatives. Very, very unfortunate for the entire family. Now, I do want to make things clear. We sort of knew this was going to happen with her, since she had low-grade dementia, and we sort of had the idea that it was going to happen eventually. So it didn't really, I mean, obviously it registered and it made me sad, but, you know, I'd rather, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on this, I think everybody can agree with me on this, I'd rather the person pass than suffer. Because that's what she was doing towards the end of her life these past few weeks, was just, she wasn't there. I mean, she was alive, but she wasn't there. She was suffering. You could tell she was in constant pain. And I'd much rather, you know, her be taken up there than to go through something like that on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, obviously I'm hurt about it. My entire family's hurt about it, but she's in a better place. And, you know, that's really all there is to it in my eyes. So, yeah, like I said, I want to forget this week. I do. I appreciate all of your guys' love and support. I'm looking in the comments now. A lot of people in here. Good to see all you guys in the comments. Super Nuclear, Remotely, Wolverine, Gaza Midori, Big Al Gamerum, Just Call Me Ender, Rag Guy 1218, Electro 85, Argo, Not JFKH, Andrew the Textbook. Let's see, Argo. I'm trying to get all the names in. If I forget you, or if I go past you and don't call out your name, I'm very, very sorry for that. Young Man Connor, Nick Fury 55, Sam Watson, Bragging Rights Sport, Zachary Compton, MSU #1 fan, Peter Wazell, Diamondback, Jameson James Stack Swick, Drunk Uncle 1917, Not Freebie, Whale 365. Good to see all you guys here tonight. You know I love each and every one of y'all. I do. I truly mean that. And, you know, no matter how big this thing gets, because let's be honest, we are getting really, really big here on Squidtard Sports. I had a lofty sub goal before the end of the season, the end of the off season, being 25,000. And I knew back when I said it that it was a very, very lofty sub goal. We might hit it, we might not, but we have grown to a level that I never would have expected in the last year. Last year, around this time, I had maybe 1,000 subscribers. And we've got up to past 17,000 in 1 year. It is ridiculous the growth that we have made on this channel. And I appreciate all of you guys who have supported this channel, watch my stuff. I know you guys have been waiting very, very patiently for the next video, which it's been over 7 days since I last uploaded. And, well, as I talked about earlier, it's been due to a lot of things that have happened in my personal life this week. Just a very, very rough time. But I've gotten back into the content making. I've been working all week on this SEC video, the last of the story. And I am right there at the end. Literally, I am right at the end. I'm almost done with it. It is going to be finished probably tonight. I'm going to have it uploaded. I'll have it ready to go. And it'll be available all day Sunday for channel members. So if you're a channel member of Squidtard Sports, congratulations. You're going to be able to see it tomorrow, probably around noon. And then it'll release publicly on Monday. Along with that, I've already started script writing for the Before the Chaos videos. I really haven't really gone into that, but the Before the Chaos videos is going to be my predictions. My preview and predictions of each and every team in the power tier, the power conferences. So I get to go over everybody's team coming up. I'm going to talk about them, give you a thought on what might happen. And for some of you, you might be very, very sad at what might say, but for others, I might pump up your team. Who knows? But I'm planning to get a lot of that finished this week. I'm going to be pretty much locked in because next week, guess what? I'm going on vacation again. Yes, I'm heading out next week, going on vacation. I'll be gone for a little bit of a week, and then I'll be back in the final week to finish up whatever I need to finish up, and then it's the start of the college football season. We've only got 3 weeks left until the start of college football, so as you obviously know, I'm going to be very, very busy. College Football Chaos just around the corner. I'm starting up a new show starting this Monday with another fellow content creator, my boy Red. Me and him are going to be starting our show called the FBS Report this Monday night. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be great. It's going to be spectacular. That's what I know for a fact. Gazamador, thank you for the $5 super chat starting us out with that super chat. Much appreciated. Says, to you, Squid, let's forget our shitty week. Most definitely planning to forget my shitty week. So thank you. Thank you very much. I don't like it when people have shitty weeks. If your week was shitty, let's hope it becomes unshittified as we progress into the next one. Every day's a new day. That's the way I see it. It's been a shitty day today, then it'll be a much better day tomorrow. That's the way I adore seeing it. I know I just turned off that ceiling fan, but it got hot in here immediately afterwards, so. Super Nuclear with the $2 super chat, much appreciated, says, real clown is that Texas fan dude was awful. Yeah, we had a little incident in the Discord last night. Apparently somebody got really, really out of control, and they had to be sentenced to the Shadow Realm. Yeah, crazy, I know. There are trolls out there. Want to cause a lot of trouble, but my fellow moderators have taken care of it, so no longer an issue. But yeah, as I was saying, you know, there is a lot of things. I mean, we're getting to the point now to where the talk time is over. You know, everybody's been talking. Everybody's got something to say. Our team's got this. Our team has got this legendary quarterback. We're going to blow everybody out. Oregon's going 12-0. Georgia's going 12-0. Iowa might put up 50 points of offense in a FCS game. You never know. So the season of talk is coming to a close. And for a lot of you, including many of my fan base, reality will come a-coming soon. And that's what I know. And I'm always clown of the season, but there's just it's all the question about who's going to be sharing it with me, which team. And I don't think it's going to be Florida State again, unfortunately. Their run was hilarious last year, but I don't think it's going to be them again, unfortunately. Quick question. What if both players in College Football 26 don't play each other by the deadline? Oh, you're talking about the Dynasty. Yeah. If you all don't do that, well, then we'll just advance and we'll let the sim take care of it. Rocky Top, hit it, Squid. I think we should arm wrestle. Michigan is clown of the season. Ooh. I don't think Michigan's... I don't know. Michigan would have to have a really bad season, but it's not just about having a bad year compared to fan expectation. It's more of how much of an ass you can make of yourself. Like, if we did this in 2023, it would probably end up being Colorado. Because that team, that program, the hype that they had around, you know, after they beat TCU, you know, they're going to go to the playoffs, that whole thing, Dion and Shador were making absolute clowns of themselves every single week. It would, like, clown of the season back in the 23 year would have been Colorado. So it's all about who can make the biggest ass of themselves. And yes, for those of you wondering, Tennessee would be a very big contender in that note. Squid, I have one question. Call me crazy, but I have Kansas winning the division in college football with Texas and Oklahoma out of the picture. So what you're saying is is that Kansas wins the Big 12 and Texas and Oklahoma don't make the playoffs. Yeah, you might want to check the foam in your brain, buddy. There's a lot of foam in there if you're making that. Kansas winning the Big 12, don't think that's happening, but Texas is most certainly making the playoffs. I don't know where you're getting the idea that they aren't from, but boy, that is a very potato take. UCLA could be clown of the season. Remember those dumbasses thought getting Nico is a great idea. And it all matters about how good Tennessee is, because if Joey Aguilar winds up taking Tennessee to the playoffs and then Nico has got UCLA outside of bowl eligibility, holy shit, then yeah, they'll be a pretty big contender for that spot. I will not argue that. Colorado is always a good clown of the year contender. They'll probably be outside of it only because, my empathetic side feels for Dion after having to go through, cancer and everything like that. So we'll see, but I mean, who knows? West Virginia wins the Big 12, the championship, and not in the first year of Rich Rod. Y'all lost too much. West Virginia, I mean, in terms of Power 5 programs that got hit by the portal, West Virginia got it one of the worst. You're not making the playoffs year one. When do you think Tennessee will ever beat Georgia? Never. It's easy to think that way, so that way I can pretend that it would just never happen, and then when they inevitably lose, I can just be like, well, not like anybody else, thought they were going to win, so there you go. What if UCLA and Tennessee play in the playoffs? If UCLA and Tennessee are playing anywhere, it's going to be in some 7-5 bowl game and not going to be in the playoffs. If that were to happen, whoever would bet on that would probably, they'd never have to work a day in their lives again. Penn State, if they wound up like not making the playoffs or something like that, then yeah, they'd definitely be quality material for that. But just Penn State's so talented and they have such an easy schedule, I don't see that happening. They'd literally have to fold. They'd have to fold so hard. I'll tell you, it could be Texas Tech. Texas Tech, with the fan base has been loud this offseason. Texas Tech. Granted, they've got the best transfer portal class outside of LSU. They've got an entire roster worth of talent that they have just picked apart from pretty much everywhere across the nation. Literally, if they find a way to like piss themselves again week one like they did 2 years ago versus Wyoming, then yeah, they're a very good contender for that. And Joey McGuire might get fired. Squidtard with a don't keep burning. Not like it was last year, but it'll definitely be burning week one, I'll tell you that much. I saw some footage from practice with their defensive line. Their defensive line looks so out of shape. Castellanos, is it Castellanos? Yeah, he might have 10 sacks. He might be taking 10 sacks against Alabama. North Carolina has an easy schedule. Well, they've always had an easy schedule. Remember, they're in the ACC, so they're going to have an easy schedule most years. Yeah. The only way you don't have an easy schedule in the ACC is if you're like somebody like Georgia Tech or Clemson or Louisville, and you have to schedule outside opponents from the SEC on top of playing somebody like Notre Dame. Tech is a good contender that I think they'll shit when they're fighting for the third best in Texas with SMU. Clown of the season will be Billy Napier. No way Lagway still stays healthy all season, and he'll be forced to beat Georgia with Harrison Bailey. I got a feeling I've got something to say about that. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself because it's definitely possible Lagway gets hurt, like injured, and is forced to stay out for the end of the year. It's very possible we could be seeing a scenario where Tennessee goes into Gainesville and has to play against former quarterback Harrison Bailey. That I can't think of a worse scenario than for that to happen. The only thing worse than playing Harrison Bailey and losing to him at Florida would be if we wound up losing to Nico. Hey, Squid, would you be interested in doing past clown of the seasons? I think I might do that going into the next off season. We'll see. Like, I might do like a 2023 clown of the season, that being Colorado. 2022, I'd have to think about that. I don't know who'd be 2022. How is Harrison Bailey still playing football? Lots and lots of red shirts. That's why. And when in this new age of college football, you can take an injury red shirt and extend yourself for the next 8 years. You said you were having some mental health troubles recently. Are you doing better yet? Yes, I'm doing quite a bit better. Thank you for asking. My music going? It is going. It's just a little quiet. I'm gonna turn that up. Have a little bit of ambience in the background. Everyone's saying Ohio State going to get blown out by the Fighting Horns Downs, but best case for Texas, it's going to be close. Yeah, no, that's not going to be a blowout. No way. No way is that game going to be a blowout. It's just not possible. With the way those two defenses play, I could definitely see it being exactly as it was last year, where it sort of comes down to the wire. It comes down to a turnover, maybe a pick six or another scoop and score. It's going to be something like that. And my opinion is that it's going to be the other way around, and I think Texas gets the jump on him. But we'll see. We'll see. Notre Dame could be clown of the season if they lose close matchups. USC and Texas A&M are going to be better against them. They are going to be better overall, but Notre Dame is just a really, really good team. Well, they've got a great defense, and it's going to be all about shutting down Jeremiah Love and then forcing them to throw the ball. Notre Dame and Penn State are basically two sides of the same coin. They're going to be heavy on the run this year, and Penn State's got the dual running back system, and pretty much Notre Dame is just going to be like, fuck it, just Jeremiah Love, send Jeremiah Love. That's gonna be them. So if they wound up. If either of them, Texas A&M or USC, wound up shutting down the run game for Notre Dame, I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out because they don't have Riley Leonard anymore. You know, they've got that new quarterback. I forgot his name, but yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting because if he can't throw the ball, if he's like Drew Aller and he just struggles to throw the ball to any open wide receivers, then that is going to be a huge problem that'll last throughout the entire season. I personally think Ohio State wins the game against Texas outright. If this game was in Austin, Texas wins. Anyone who loses to Vandy are the clowns of the season. Well, I think Vandy's probably... Is it possible Vandy makes another bowl game, or was that a fluke season? What do y'all think about that? Because I think the big problem for Vandy this year is going to be their defense. Because they're going to have a good offense. Eli Stowers is going to have a lot of yards this season. Diego Pavia is going to have wide open guys. I think they're not going to have any problems on offense, I don't think. It's going to be how good their defense is what's going to be the concern for Vandy. And they've had some shining moments in the win last year, but I just don't really know how that's going to pan out once they get into the latter half of the season. Once those injuries start to stack up. Because Vandy is not a team that has depth. That's their biggest problem with Vandy is that they don't have depth on their team. And if they start to lose some key players through injury, holy hell, it could be bad. Yes, I am going to be streaming every single Tennessee game this year. I didn't do it last year because I didn't have a big enough fan base to sort of keep myself, consistently active through the entire 4 hours. But this time, yeah, I will be streaming every single week for college football, and it'll be the Tennessee games, of course. Now, when it comes to bye weeks, I'll let you guys vote on that. I'll put out a poll saying if you guys want me to stream the 12 o'clock slate, the 3:30 slate, or the 7 o'clock slate. You guys can choose between those three. And I'll obviously be streaming week 0 as well for the Iowa State-Kansas State game. But yes, I will be streaming for every Tennessee game. Except for the ones I attend, which I don't know if I'm attending any games this year. The prices have gotten so unbelievably ridiculous for any sort of ticket at Tennessee that I feel it's just better for me to just sit at home and watch it, honestly. That way I can just vibe with you guys, and then we can watch the game together. You can watch me crash out. If Alabama loses to Vandy for the second year in a row, will they get, the season to lose to Tennessee for the first... if you're asking me to answer this question, you got to say it in a way that I can understand, because I do not understand that one bit. Speaking of hieroglyphics, Alabama's best contender has on-field anger issues. You're talking about Malachi Moore, because I remember seeing him at the end of that Vandy game, kicking the football and all that. I'm so mad, girl. Remind me of that, like, Daniel Tiger shit. That's exactly what that reminded me of. And the fact that he didn't get pulled after that, because I'm telling you what, if that shit happens under Nick Saban, and that dude probably doesn't play another snap for Alabama, I don't know why Kalen DeBoer would put up with that. I don't care how good he is. That dude has obviously got some severe anger issues, and shit like, if he's able to do shit like that and not receive any consequences for it, that's going to happen again. That's literally going to happen again this year, and it could wound up costing them in a game. It will. Because then, say it forces a penalty in a big moment of the game, gives the other team another drive. That would be a big problem. Now, again, Malachi Moore is not there anymore. Now he's over at the New York Jets. He's going to be a problem for them now. So it's not Bama's problem anymore, thankfully. But if they, if you're not going to address that problem when it happens, say another guy does it, that'll be a huge problem there too. When you were a student at Tennessee, did you get discounted or free tickets? Well, I am a student at Tennessee, and I do get the student discount, but they've done this thing now to where you can only get one student ticket. Yeah, literally. You can only get one student ticket. So I just never even bothered with it anymore. Because why would you? I don't understand. The whole purpose of getting these tickets would be to go out with your friends and watch a football game. Now you're telling me that you guys are so freaking stubby about it that you aren't even going to let anybody bring their friends? You bring yourself and that's it? Like, what the hell? They do the group system thing, which is like you join a group and then maybe you'll get tickets. Yeah, that's the thing. You join a group and then it's not even confirmed then whether or not you'll get the tickets. It's absolutely ridiculous. And they've got this lottery system. It's just, the greed is killing me. The greed is absolutely killing me. Bold take, but I think Ohio State will have a bit of a down year. They lost a ton to the draft this past season. Yeah, that's definitely not a bold take. I think Ohio State lost a lot of their key pieces. They've got Jeremiah Smith still, but they don't have Will Howard throwing to him. And as much as people like to rag on Will Howard, he was definitely, being a veteran quarterback has its perks. I think Julian Sain's definitely going to have some bumps in the road this year per se. I don't think they're not, I don't think they're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but I don't think Ohio State's just going to run through the Big Ten. They'll probably take a step back, and I don't think they're winning the national title. Oregon becomes clown of the season by barely missing the playoffs. Oh, boy. Boy, the outrage the Oregon fans would have if that happened. And that is a big concern, because for Oregon, the big concern for them is who's going to step up now that they potentially lost Tez Johnson. Because now Tez Johnson became a victim of the injury bug in the offseason. They're going to have to find their new number one wide receiver if he's not back. I don't know whether or not he is back or if he's going to be fully 100% once the season starts. We could see a scenario where he comes in halfway through the college football season. We could see one where he doesn't come in at all. I don't know. We're going to keep a close eye on that. But if Oregon's offense starts to really stumble because of it, I feel like they're going to try and get him back. Malachi made up for that outburst by using his veteran leadership to immediately next week by telling one of the freshman DBs not to kneel. What week was that? Wasn't that? Oh, it was South Carolina. Yeah, that South Carolina game is really, really close. Oh, I was thinking about Evan Stewart. My bad. My bad. I thought of Oregon's number one wide receiver last year, and the first thought that came to me was Tez Johnson. I didn't even realize he was on the Bucs. Did he even get drafted first overall, or like not first overall? Did he even get drafted in like the first few rounds, or was he more like a 4th to 7th round pick? Yeah, Texas lost a lot in the draft, too. I mean, everybody lost quite a bit of talent in the draft, but Texas has reloaded like immensely better than a lot of other teams, and that's going to show in the way that they play this year. Their defense is still extremely strong, and I get all the hype around Arch. I'm buying into the hype. Yeah, I know you just like Arch Manning because of his name. No, I do think Arch is going to be an insanely good talent this year. Now, I don't think Arch is going to like win a national. Let me say it like this. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. I think he's going to have key pieces around him that help him going forward. But I do think Arch is better than a lot of people give him credit for. Penn State being clown of the season if they don't win it all would be kind of harsh for them. But I would expect Penn State to at least make it back to the Final Four teams. For the talent that they have, I think everybody can agree with me on this. Penn State definitely has the most talented team that they've had ever. This is James Franklin's most talented team since, well, ever. So, you know, he's got so many key pieces. The big question for Penn State is just whether or not Drew Aller can throw the football to a wide receiver. That's the big question. So it's definitely going to be very, very interesting. So if they do wound up like having a meltdown and like not make the playoffs or anything, then yeah, that'll be certified clown material. Gunnar Stockton is a dual threat quarterback. Kirby has never succeeded with those. I think he's going to force him to try and stay in the pocket too much, and it's not going to work. Well, that is a good point there. Yeah, Georgia doesn't really thrive off the dual threat. That's part of the reason why I feel like that's part of the reason why back in 2019 when Kirby had that extremely loaded quarterback depth room, that I feel like that's part of the reason why Justin Fields never got the start was because Kirby relied so much on a guy like Jake Fromm because he played the Kirby smart way. He played that style of offense. And part of that is definitely going to be on what happens with the Mike Bobo offense. Because a lot of Georgia fans extremely dislike Mike Bobo. They wish Mike Bobo was gone yesteryear. There are quite a few contenders for Clown of the Season, I think. A few that I have in mind, and I'll go ahead and explain mine. A few that I have, and I guess I'll name one from each conference. And I'll start with my, what I think a lot of people are riding with, and that's North Carolina. North Carolina has already made such a gigantic ass out of themselves. And it's not even really their fault. It's entirely on Bill Belichick. Jordan Hudson's wife right there. Yeah, Bill Belichick. The whole thing revolving around that situation was just so unbelievably stupid. And, you know, the emails, her being on the sideline, and then her being banned from, being in practice. How? It's so dumb. That whole situation was just so incredibly stupid. And they put such a focus on that. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, once the pressure really started to stack on him, now, suddenly they're like, we're not focusing on this. This is all about football. Even during media days, like all of the interviewers, all the people in the press box, everybody was asked, everybody was told before Bill Belichick's media days, do not ask any questions about Jordan Hudson or anything like that. They're making it so much of a big deal. It's like they're trying to surround themselves around it. And if they wound up losing a bunch of games, which is most certainly possible with North Carolina's defense, we could see a scenario. We could see a scenario where that and all of that surrounding it wounds up biting Belichick in the ass, and he could wound up getting fired very, very early on. We'll see. I feel like UCLA or Tennessee has a small chance of winning Clown of the Season with all the I'm a leave you shit. Well, It's one way or the other with those two teams, because if UCLA winds up being in the dumpster this season and then Joey Aguilar winds up making the playoffs, it'll make UCLA look really, really bad because they're the losers of the first trade ever in college football history. But it goes the exact same way with Tennessee. If Tennessee winds up having a terrible year and then UCLA just miraculously makes the playoffs or wins the Big Ten or something, then yeah, expect the same pushback with Tennessee. That'll definitely make one or the other clown of the season, or at least a very, very big contender for it. Texas Tech has to be clown of the year. If they wound up getting shit on like they did when they had hype back in 23, then yes, most certainly they could be in that spot. I think LSU is a sleeper for clown of the season. I think Brian Kelly's penchant is going viral, but weird, bad reasons to potentially underperform could get them in contention. Yeah, that's definitely another thing. I mean, LSU, if we're going to use this logic for Texas Tech, we have to use it for LSU as well, because I'm of the complete opposite belief on LSU. I'm very, very high on Texas Tech because they've got a lot of talent and a coaching staff who has some sort of semblance of what they're doing. Brian Kelly seems to have so much talent on that team that he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's been that way ever since he's been at LSU. You could excuse 2022 because, it's his first year, so he has to adjust the entire team to his brand new style. Sure. Then 23 rolls around. You got Jaden Daniels, Heisman winner. You've got an incredibly talented offense, but the defense was just so incredibly potato that you wound up losing 3 games because of it. And then last year, again, Garrett Nussmeier. He's a Heisman finalist now this season. Like, there's so much hype around Garrett Nussmeier. But here comes BK. It's the exact same problems that they've been having, and nothing's changed. They talked about, and I mean, BK made it such a big thing, especially after the loss to USC and Lincoln Riley, that the defense was such a big problem. And, he's like, we're talking about the same thing. And all. And like, yeah, hold on. I've got a soundbite for this.
We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
And nothing's changed since he said that. The defense still sucks. The offense is still extremely inconsistent. The play calling is absolutely potato. He's aggressive when he doesn't need to be and overly conservative when he doesn't need to be. He's doing exactly the opposite of what he needs to do. And if they wound up doing something like losing 4 games this year, I could absolutely see them being in the spot for clown of the season. Because if you think Burger King's been making an ass out of himself for losing 4 games last year, imagine if he does it this year. Ooh, boy. That's going to be a big problem. Ole Miss could be a dark horse clown of the season because they're in a different leagues. No, Lane Kiffin already won that award because he said the different leagues comment before the bowl season happened. And that was obviously when pretty much everybody got their slice of humble pie. He said, I'm pretty sure he said that different leagues comment right after the SEC championship, going to the playoffs. And he was on Twitter talking about South Carolina's played a harder schedule than any of these top 4 teams. And who else other than us beat Georgia and all that. And then, obviously all those teams wound up just absolutely bending all these SEC teams over. And then, yeah. I mean, the only thing you can give him credit for is that he did his job. He went out there and obliterated Duke. So, I mean, at least he did his part. But, yeah, no. Nobody else backed him up on that one. Yeah, see, another thing that's really pushing the whole Brian Kelly has no idea what he's doing narrative is when you look at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman, in what has been 3 years, has turned that program from basically hovering around nowhere to a national title contender. People are going to mention the Northern Illinois game, but, he's already won more big games than Brian Kelly has at LSU. So, I mean, how much can you really dump on that Northern Illinois game after, after Notre Dame did everything that they did? The reason why I don't see my Ducks as clown of the season is because the schedule is too soft. Yeah, Oregon is. I think Oregon is certainly a playoff contender this year. They have so much talent around them. Their schedule is extremely easy. I'll look at it real fast, but yeah, I think you guys play like 3 ranked teams, like in total. I think one of these keyboard springs are broken. Every time I type a key, it goes ding, and it pisses me off. It might be time for a new keyboard. But yeah, Oregon's schedule extremely yeah. You play 2 ranked teams. Oregon plays a total of 2 ranked teams, at least in the preseason. Penn State on the road, which is going to be a very, very tough game right there. Especially that's a night game, by the way. So Penn State is most certainly going wide out in that one. I don't think you're winning that. But then after a bye week, you host Indiana at home, and they're ranked like number 17. I think you got a really good shot there. But yeah, like everybody else, like you play Oklahoma State in the non-con. I mean, that kind of says everything you need to know. I mean, you got Oregon State also. Oregon State and Oklahoma State, 2 sides of the same coin, both very, very terrible right now. And while I do think Oklahoma State will have a bit of an upgrade, I don't think it's going to be enough to, knock over Oregon or anything like that, especially on the road. But then, yeah, after that, you got like Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington. Basically what you'd expect from like a Big Ten West schedule if that was still around. So, yeah, Oregon's going to run through most of these guys. They're looking at 10-2 or 11-1. As long as they do their part. If they get upset and go 10-2, they're still playoff contenders. BK is the epitome of a good but not great coach. He'll raise your floor, but your ceiling is low. And that, again, that's partly due to the fact that he doesn't play at all good against the top teams. You watch how he performs against some of the top teams in the nation, and he just shits the bed almost every time. You're going to have to eventually rise above some of these top-tier teams if you want to be considered a really, really good coach in the conference. Winning a bunch of games against non-ranked opponents can only get you so far, especially because LSU's fan base is so much more unforgiving than Notre Dame's. I mean, we all know that to be the case. LSU has one of the most brutal, most angry, most hostile fan bases in the country. Think about how they did Coach O. All it took was losing to UCLA in 21, and they're like, all right, we're done with you. We're done with you. You're gone. You're gone. And halfway through the year, he was gone. Even though he wound up winning the last game against A&M and going like 6-6 or whatever, they're like, nope, you're done. You're done. Even with a national title, you only have so much leverage at LSU, and BK doesn't even have that luxury. The only thing that he does have is an SEC West like championship thing, which all that was just literally he only got that because Alabama shit the bed severely hard in that 22 game. And then, well, you saw what happened in the SEC championship against Georgia. I think that explains everything you need to know. I think the ACC gets regulated to Division II after this. No. Clemson's bailing them out. Clemson is going to hold that conference up pretty much like this the entire way there. That is what they do. They call it the All Clemson Conference, and they call it that for a reason. Iowa State's a dark horse, and I think they make the quarterfinals. Wow. That is bold. That is really, really bold. I don't think that's happening. I mean, I like the enthusiasm, but I certainly don't think this is happening. Not with the talent that they have, because I like Iowa State's roster. I think they've got some great talents. Pulling in Xavier Townsend, I thought was a really good pickup from Central Florida, but I'm not. It all depends on how much you believe in Rocco Purdy, as I call him. Because I think they're good, and I think their defense is going to be good too. I just don't think they're elite. I don't think they're at that elite level. If they're going to get to that point, they have to get extremely lucky, not just in like playoffs terms, but also in the Big 12 too. They have to get extremely lucky. Texas is going to leave the SEC before 2028. Go where? Go where? They wanted the best, the best. I guess they're playing with the best. Unless they want to go up to the Big Ten. I mean, sure. I mean, when you got Cal and Stanford from the Pacific going all the way to the Atlantic every single week to play games, how much does geography really matter? Thoughts on Bryce Underwood? The thing Michigan needs to survive, because everything... last year, all of their quarterbacks were just half-melted bowls of vanilla ice cream, so they needed a good pickup in terms of quarterback, and they finally got it. If they don't start Bryce Underwood, then Sharon Moore might actually be brain dead. What rehired coach does better? Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, you know, the only two that I can think of in terms of rehired coaches are, you know, UCF and West Virginia, Scott Frost and Rich Rod. But, I mean, that's only schools that have rehired coaches that have also coached at their school. You could go, and I think this is a good pick, Dan Mullen. Everyone's favorite arbiter of development, Mr. Dan Mullen. I think he could go a long way this year with Lou. Dadgummit, I just said. See, he's been. Me and Lou have been talking lately, Uncle Lou, and he's forced that into my brain, Lou NLV. He's apparently a UNLV fan. So I'm sorry for those of you who had to hear that. But UNLV, I think they're going to do some great stuff in the playoffs if they get there. But I think they're going to do some great stuff in the regular season as well. Does Bryce Underwood have anyone to throw to? It's probably ignorant speaking, but I mean, he's about the same more or less, I think, in terms of what they have. I think they did pick up some receivers out of the transfer portal. Additionally, they have a new running back that they picked up, Justice Haynes, and that is a great pickup. They picked up that guy from Bama. Yeah, Donovan McCulley. And that's a great pickup right there, too. Michigan's been doing some work, not just through recruiting, but through the portal. They established what they needed to get back up to that point. And I've got Michigan as sort of this dark horse playoff contender. You know, a lot of people just wrote them off this year after what happened last season. Oh, Sharon Moore, you know, he got lucky because of Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh and blah, blah, blah. But I think Michigan's in a really, really good spot. Do you think this is Mike Gundy's last season at Oklahoma State? I'm siding on that being the case. And I don't even think he's going to get fired. I think it's more of like what I think is going to happen with Kirk Ferentz eventually, where he just eventually calls it, just says, just retires. And I know he's younger than Kirk Ferentz, but both of these coaches have been coaching for so long. You know, I just feel like eventually one of them is going to give in. And it could be a Mac Brown type of thing with Mike Gundy. Say he, you know, only wins like 5 games this year. Oklahoma State's not very good. And it's not like, you know, it's like they don't want to fire him, but they also don't want to extend him or keep him going. So they're just like, hey, man, I'm just letting you know this is probably going to be your last year. We're going to let you play it. We're going to let you play out the last of your games. But like after this, you're done. We're going to go in a different direction. I could definitely see that being the case. Mullen is better as 90% of all SEC head coaches. That's a fact. I can't remember what Kirby Heupel, Napier, and Drinkwitz beat a Kirby Smart. Yes. Well, Dan Mullen also had Kyle Trask. It was Kyle Trask versus Stetson Bennett. I mean, come on. Which side were you going to roll with there? And that was before they had Brock Bowers. Boy, wouldn't that be a story? Mike Gundy says something offensive and then gets fired for it. What a story that would be. I'm just thinking about how stupid that would be if that's how that went down. What do you think it would take for people to shake people's confidence in Alabama always being a natty in playoff contention if they don't make it this year? Because I think they're third in line because a lot of people are high on Georgia's defense this year. So right now, in terms of the SEC pecking order, they've got Texas, Georgia, and then Bama's in that third spot. And there's not really much room for debate when it comes to that. I mean, there's other teams that you can fit in there, South Carolina, but Bama is probably that third best team right now. So it all really sort of depends on what you think about that. If Bama winds up going 8-4, 9-3 this year, doesn't make the playoffs, then yeah, that'll shake people's perspective on Bama just being Bama, and they're the best team ever in the whole wide universe. And I think a lot of people have already moved on from that since Saban retired. But I think a lot of the fairy dust around Bama would sort of die down if they didn't make the playoffs this year. Which is why Missouri's probably going to stay ranked. They're going to watch. Missouri's going to lose like 4 or 5 games this year somehow, and they're still going to be ranked by the end of the year. Bama needs that quality win, everybody. Gundy isn't on thin ice, but the water is getting warmer. It's certainly getting warmer. Like a 3-9 season would be more than enough to kill a lot of coaches' careers. So, I mean, obviously you can tell that there's a lot of loyalty with guys like Gundy, so I think that's why they've kept him around for this long. But yeah, no, if they win 9 or 10 games, then by that point, Gundy's fine, because then they're just like, oh, 2024 was a Mickey Mouse year, we're gonna get it back together. Now we're good. But if he winds up only winning 5 games, then the perspective turns from 2024 was a fluke to Gundy has lost the team, and that'll become a problem. Tennessee could be in that top tier. I don't believe it. They've got a great team. Tennessee's got a talented roster, a great defensive front. I mean, Heupel has got the defensive game down. Tim Banks is sticking around for another year. Tennessee is going to have a great defense. Whether or not you think James Pierce Jr. was the entire defense, which I hope you don't think that, Tennessee is going to have a phenomenal defense. Nobody's going to deny that. It's probably going to be top 10 in the nation by the end of the year. The problem is the offense. It's going to come down to how good or bad the offense is going to be playing this year. And I just don't know if Heupel's going to have a lot of trust in Joey Aguilar. I think he found a lot of fairy dust in Hendon Hooker, and I just don't know if he's ever going to find any of that trust like he did with Hooker. And a lot of that, I think, came down to the play calling and losing Alex Golish. We stand on business. I'm Eli Drinkwitz. I'm Eli Drinkwitz. I'm Eli Drinkwitz. I've been trying to find that clip. I finally found it before I started the stream. But I've been trying to find that clip from my SEC video of Eli Drinkwitz, of him getting that 5-star recruit, that 5-star defensive lineman from a couple of years ago. And he's sitting on the couch and he jumps up and he starts celebrating and he jumps up and he's hugging another one of the staff guys, holding him. It's like the weirdest thing ever. So I mean, I can't really say much because when we beat Alabama, it sort of looked like I did that if you were looking hard enough, but I really didn't. But point being, it was a funny thing. But I did manage to find it because get this, they deleted it. And the Missouri football Twitter page, that was the only reliable source other than the TikTok that had that video, and they deleted it. So they must have been ashamed. Squid tuning in. Is Squid wear the mustard costume yet for National Mustard Day? Today's National Mustard Day? I did not know that. I might have to whip that out in a minute. You know how Alabama lost Vanderbilt last season? Watch the lose Missouri this season, and we'll get Cloud of the Year. All right, let me try to translate that. If Alabama loses to Missouri, will that get them Clown of the Season? No. It could get them Clown of the Week, but not Clown of the Season. BK should stay away from TikTok. There are a lot of coaches that need to stay away from TikTok. Dabo Sweeney's another. Dan Lanning. Eli Drinkwitz. That's another one for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Is Billy Napier... is he one of them too? Because I think Florida... in terms of social media clout and clownery that they've done, I think it's much better off now than it was a couple of years ago under Mullen. Because under Dan Mullen, they'd like go on social media and show like practice where they're all dressed up in like pajama day costumes, and it's like they're dressed up like it's Halloween. Like shit like that. So, yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I'd like for Arkansas to beat Missouri and Texas A&M. I'd like that too. I don't think it's happening though. Sam Pittman, I think, is a coach that we could be looking at. That's at the end of the year not going to be coaching anymore. It would be very entertaining to see something like that happen, because it would just, I'm sure it would shake up the SEC, but I don't know, we'll see. Now Arkansas did pick up a lot of talent through the portal, specifically on offense. They've got a completely brand new wide receiver core. They did exactly what Oklahoma did. Everybody on their wide receiver core is completely different, and most of them are like seniors that have transferred from another school. Omega Blake, Ishmael Sissy, I think. Is it? It can't be Sissy. Ismail Sissy. He's from Stanford. Can't be Sissy. But he had over almost 300 yards with Stanford last year. But yeah, Raylan Sharp, Corey Robertson from Georgia Tech. Yeah, no, they picked up a lot of guys through the portal. Specifically, they've got an entirely brand new receiving core, and they absolutely needed it. So Arkansas has got an offense now. They've got an offense capable of being way better off than it was last year, especially since Taylon Green's coming back. That's a big thing to note. Taylon Green returning for another year. SoundFX09, appreciate the $10 super chat. It says, hard to say who'll be clown of the season. Heck, I want to rule out the possibility of Georgia being that with what's been happening with the Atlanta Braves in 2025. Well, if there was a clown of the season for the MLB, it absolutely is the Atlanta Braves. What an absolute dumpster fire they are. Holy hell. They are an absolute mess. I said before that being bad isn't earning you clown of the season just off of that, but the Braves, they took bad to a whole nother level. They are an absolute liquid pile of diarrhea. Oh my goodness, they are awful. Appreciate the $10 super chat though. The Atlanta Braves right now are what Purdue is last year, or Florida State. Hell, they're probably Kent State. They're closer to Kent State than anybody else. They just don't win at all. They're awful. Did your throat hurt after saying Billy Napier and Eli Drinkwitz so many times in the SEC video? Not really. The only time I've had my throat really hurt to the point that I can't speak was at the end of the Notre Dame Georgia game when Notre Dame sacked Gunnar Stockton on that final play. I was yelling. Let me see if I can pull it up. But I was yelling so much that I lost my voice halfway through speaking, and from that point onward, I just literally was not able to speak. It was pretty funny. Let me see if I can pull this up. But it was really funny. I knew I had it on a short. Like my voice just it basically just canned halfway through. Here we go. Here it is.
Georgia.
It died. In a desperation attempt, has to get this. Here we go. 4th and 6. 4 receivers out. Stockton back to pass. Looking down the field, and he is sacked. He is sacked. It's over, Chad. It's over. It is over. No more. No more tomfoolery. No more. The bullshit is dead. The bullshit is dead. My voice about died too. What's that coming down? My favorite part is look at how mad all these people are. Look at how angry they are. I knew it would rage bait a shit ton of these Georgia fans, and it did just that. Yeah. Sometimes I love doing that, but yeah, no. You could tell I lost my voice halfway through saying that, which I thought was extremely funny. Different leagues means losing to Notre Dame. And Toledo also. Don't forget, Toledo. Toledo a playoff team, sir. I'm telling you. Kentucky better watch out. You know, Kentucky plays Toledo week 1. I've been saying it. That is an upset alert type of game. That is one that could most certainly be an upset alert. If Kentucky winds up losing to Toledo, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. That would be so funny. Well, one thing it would do would be a double-edged sword from my perspective, because yes, it would be funny to watch them lose to Toledo, but it pretty much seals Mark Stoops' fate. It's going to take something like that, I think, for them to actually go ahead and can Mark Stoops. And for something like that to happen, I think that would absolutely do it. A 30-year-old sophomore wide receiver had an entire 10-year MLB career before this. Yeah, age cap. It's less of an age cap and more of a red shirt cap, because you got players they just like red shirt in every single year because they hit the portal and then they buy an extra year of eligibility. It needs to be you've got 5 years in college. That's it. 5 years. And if you hit the transfer portal, you'll lose your red shirt or a year of eligibility. So if you do that, then everything changes. All of these players are going to think twice about hitting the transfer portal. Everything suddenly changes if you just install that one rule. But they won't. We all know they won't, because the NCAA can't do anything. Squid, did you see that one comment about the MAC fan making fun of the SEC due to not being like the MAC conference? I did see that. And it looked, I could have sworn, I thought somebody picked out one of my comments from one of my videos. Legitimately, that's exactly what that looked like. But no, it was just some extremely angry MAC fan. Probably rage baiting, probably trolling, but still hilarious comment, all things considered. Do you ever think a middle-of-the-road SEC or Big Ten team could ever win the national championship? Yeah, sure they could. That's the thing, everybody's got a shot to win the national title. You know, they say, like, best case scenario is like 8-4, or worst case is 4-8, but really, best case scenario, 17-0, worst case is 0-12. Because any team, if they've got the motivation, I know the Mark Stoops right there, if they've got the motivation, if they've got the ability, could go on to win the national title. I mean, look at TCU back in 2022. Nobody expected TCU to go that far, and they wound up doing just that. Not only making it to the playoffs, but winning a playoff game and playing in the national championship. So, I mean, obviously they did get ass blasted by Mickey Mouse, but they were there. And I mean, we could be looking at a different timeline where TCU somehow won that game. You never know. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Like Arizona State, projected to finish last in the conference. Guess exactly what they did. They made the playoffs and almost beat Texas. Kent State could win the national title. Yes, they can. Now, if you're betting on that, then, you're better off just giving us a super chat, because then you'd be giving your money to a better cause. But, I mean, worth a shot. He never enrolled in college. Well, how did he play then? Because, I mean, it should be common knowledge. It should be a common thing. Like, if you're gonna play college football, you gotta be in college. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the smart thing to do. I know that there are players who graduate but also still have another year of eligibility, and that makes sense. And if you graduate from college, and you go in as a super senior, you should have that be your last year no matter what happens. If you wound up getting injured in like week 3 and aren't able to play throughout the rest of the season, sorry, tough shit. You look at Cam Rising and look what happened with him. So from that point onward, it should be just boo-hoo, tough shit. If they consider you worthy, they'll still draft you. Oregon is a team that is picked to just never have any good things. You had a great thing. You won the Big Ten in your first year. That's a great thing. They won the conference. Tennessee hasn't even made the SEC championship since 2007. So, yeah, there are good things for you. Trust me. Trust me. We haven't made our own conference championship since 2007, and I've never been alive to witness us even win the conference. Gazamadori, welcome. He has become official channel member as a soldier of Tardaria. Thank you, good sir. Welcome. Thank you for becoming an official channel member. I'll go ahead and add you on to our list of very, very thoughtful people who have joined as a Squidtard member. I'm thinking about bigger things than a conference title, then yeah. I mean, there's only one team that can win the national championship every single year, and you're up there. If we're talking about top 10 teams that are going to win the title this year, I mean, you're in the top 10, so there's a big chance. But yeah, I'm not trying to pump you up and get you to pray for a title or anything. You know, obviously, there are other teams that can definitely win that spot, but who knows? To be honest, there's an argument for the Sanders family getting clown of the season if Colorado goes off a cliff and Shador being forgotten or terrible as a Cleveland Brown. That would be a story. That would be a story because people have been talking about this, and I've been saying it since the start of last year, that I always thought that once Shador Sanders went ahead and graduated, that Deion was going to go with him and try and get with him in the NFL. Now, that obviously aged horribly because he's still the head coach of Colorado. But if a year passes by and Colorado tanks and then Deion goes on to, become some assistant coach with the Browns, then that'd be a very interesting story. I'll say that much. What's your opinion on the way NIL currently is? Ohio State using 50,000, Ohio State using over 20 million, or Ohio using 50,000. Yeah, I think it is a complete joke the way it is being formatted right now. Nobody's willing to address it except for whatever reason, the President of the United States. Why is it that they address it but not the governing body in office? And people are going to say, oh, it's because Tennessee sued them. But Tennessee sued them because they tried to get after Tennessee for something that was legal at the time, which was the jet plane. And then they tried to blame it on the university when it was the Spire Sports Group that did it. So, again, 2 reasons why that was wrong, 2 reasons why they shouldn't have gone after them. The NCAA, there was a much better way of going about that, and they just never did it. In fact, the much better way of going about it was actually making the rules in the first place, and they never did. They never did. Because if this shit were illegal, then they wouldn't have fired a counter lawsuit against the NCAA. They wouldn't have, because they would have known that was wrong. Point being, I think the way NIL is now, it's basically become the Wild West of college football, to where you can just buy everybody. It's like what's so sad about this is that it's become, people say they don't want college football to become like the NFL, but that's not true. It's worse than the NFL, because in the NFL you have contracts to adhere to. You have a contract that you sign, and the moment you sign it, that's where you stick around. That is your destination. You can't just go, oh, all right, well, you know what? This team sucks, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over and play for Michigan. Screw Kentucky. I'm going to go play over there for the Wolverines. Bye, deuces. And I'm going to take my money while I'm at it. Ooh, $20. Like, no, you can't just go and do that in the NFL, but in college, yeah, do what you want. Do what you want. You want to go ahead and play for a year at Vandy and then decide, you know what, I want to go play for a bigger school. Yeah, you can do just that, and nobody's going to be there to stop you. I've been saying it for a while now. We need a no context Squidtard Sports account. Somebody out there needs to make that. Because some of my clips out of context are certainly material. I'll say that much. I believe there's going to be plenty of high-tier blue blood teams that have less than desirable records, more than usual reloads of new starting quarterback cores. See, the one good thing about NIL for me, The one good thing is that you can't have teams that just take all the talent. You're not going to get a dynasty like you had with Alabama. You're not going to get that anymore. And people are going to talk about how Texas used Lamborghinis to get a lot of their good players. But look at them. They can't get all the talent, and they haven't been able to. And when we joke about the talent fee, but that's gotten Tennessee some stuff. A little bit of stuff. Not a lot of stuff. Can't ever get all the stuff at Tennessee. In fact, you can't get shit there at Tennessee. What's going on, Nate? Like when you yelled at the Chess Elo guy on the Volstar podcast. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how that went down. But I just remember, I think I was talking about the playoff poll. And how I thought it was weird that you had one team like ranked ahead of another team that I thought should have been ranked ahead. And the whole point this guy was making was that it's like in relevance to the Chess Elo system that they have over in some other country. Where it's like, I don't even remember, but he called me stupid. Basically, he called like all these Americans are stupid because they don't know what Chess Elo is. Like, no shit. Most of us are American. Nobody here uses the Chess Elo system or even knows about it. Ding 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 ding. Anybody in there? Ridiculous. What if Squidtard himself is clown of the season? Always will be. That's never going to change. I'm always clown of the season. By the way, I did want to show you guys while we're here. We got 54 people in here. I thank you all again for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. I did want to take the chance to show you guys something that I thought you might have enjoyed. We've got new merch in the Squidtard store. I think I made a post about it. I probably didn't. But yes, we do have new merch in the Squidtard store. This has been a heavy request, by the way, and I finally went through with making it for you guys, and I wanted to show you while we're here on the show. If you go to the Squidtard store, it's in the description below. We've got new merch. We do, of course, we still have like the Tard Area 2025 National Championship shirt, stuff like that. But we've got new T-shirts that have just come into store. The Faria, we got that T-shirt, and then the not different conferences but different leagues. We've got a T-shirt for that as well. You can see that's Lane Kiffin right there. Yeah. We got a Volstar podcast T-shirt coming tomorrow as well. And the promo code is still active. For those of you who are curious, there is still a promo code that's active. Tardaria, in all caps. You can get 25% off your entire order if you enter that in. There's I think 8 more purchases available for anybody that wants to use that promo code. Would highly recommend it if you're interested in getting some new merch for the Squidtard store. But yeah, many more pieces of merch coming along the way. So you guys stay tuned for that. Listen, Squid, I have a good idea for a series in the future. How about you make a 50 all-star teams from 50 all-star teams from all states outside of Hawaii and Alaska? That would take too long. Way too long. That's not really my branch. I'm not really all that good at that. I'm planning on making a series though where I go back 5 years in the past and talking about that that season. I'm probably going to do that for 2020. I'm going to go over the 2020 season from start to finish. I'm going to probably make that as soon as this season comes to a close. Nick Saban's going to come out of retirement and go to Delaware next year and help them win 14 natties in a row. Yeah, Delaware's a playoff team, sir. I got your notification saying your shirt for me delivered. Give me a minute to grab it and send a pic. Ooh, I want to show that here on the show. Oh, I want to really show that on the live stream. I've got a couple of pictures already of people wearing some of my merch, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. Seeing people like wear the Squidtard orange or the Clown of the Week shirt, stuff like that. Yeah, I do think that's absolutely hilarious. That reminds me, I've got to go ahead and purchase a hoodie soon. The summer is closing pretty soon, and it's only going to be 2 months from now, and it's going to suddenly get cold here in Tennessee. So I do want to get a brand new hoodie. Drew Aller, Clown of the Season, just because I'm a hater. Good old Drew Aller. Squidtard General Nealon is going to come back to Tennessee and make them beat Ohio State in the Natty in 6 years. Ooh. Can't wait for that year. Am I the only one who bought the Lucas Angry Face shirt? I don't think you're the only one, but it's rare that people buy that one. The friggin' Lucas Angry Face shirt. Is there a single game you're most excited for? Well, I'm certainly, I mean, other than week 0 in general and just having football back, I'm definitely excited for that Texas. I mean, what could potentially be another game of the century in Texas and Ohio State. That's definitely going to be a phenomenal game. Or at least I hope it lives up to the hype. Which is the problem with a lot of these games, is that more often than not, they don't live up to the hype. Now, last year, we had what was close to a game of the century in Georgia versus Alabama, and that definitely wound up living to the hype. That was one of the best games I've ever seen. So I hope we get something like that this year. I'm not expecting that to be the case. We got a lot of... One thing I really liked about last year, especially in the postseason, is that we got a lot of close games. You had your first round blowouts. Those sucked. But then past that, we had a lot of really, really good games. The Peach Bowl was one in particular I really thought was awesome. No, the Rose Bowl, not so much. But, everything after that was still really, really fun to watch. Loved the Cotton Bowl. A great defensive matchup. Ryan Day, clown of the season, if he does the same thing he did last time versus Michigan. Not clown of the season, but clown of the week. Yes. You lose to Michigan again, no matter what they're ranked, and yes, you've probably locked up clown of the week. But last year, it was a tie between Ohio State and Miami. And the only thing about that was that Ohio State still managed to make the playoffs, even though they lost out on, the Big Ten championship again. They still managed to make the playoffs and then went on to win the national championship. Miami, on the other hand, had the exact opposite happen. They lost to Syracuse, finished out 10-2, missed the ACC championship, missed the playoffs, and then lost their bowl game because their franchise quarterback decided that he was going to quit midway through the game. So, yeah, in terms of how both of those went, yeah, Miami definitely got the short end of the stick there. First Tank Bowl prediction. Well, I did mention that. I don't think I've mentioned this, but I am going to call it something different other than the Tank Bowl. I think I'm just going to call it the Death Bowl. I think that, to me, that sounds better. Or just the Toilet Bowl. I think Toilet Bowl is better. Toilet Bowl. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, I'll have to look by the week by week schedule. Here, let me pull this up. But if I had to guess which conference it's coming from, my guess is the ACC. Because we're going to have some teams that are probably just going to completely flop right off the bat. My guess is that the first one will take place week 4. And if that were the case, if that happens week 4, who would die off first? That's what I want to know. Let's look at this real fast, shall we? It's got to be 2 Power 5 teams. Iowa, I think, will be okay. Florida at Miami. Yeah, Miami and Florida will be just fine at that point. Auburn versus Oklahoma. No, I don't think so. Oklahoma, I think, will be fine. Auburn, not so much. Illinois at Indiana, maybe. Oh, that might be it right there. This might be the one. This might be the one, the Toilet Bowl. Maryland at Wisconsin. Tickets as low as $18. That should tell you most of what you need to know. But yeah, this could definitely be the one right here. I think both of these teams are going to be losing their head coach this year. So this would be a perfect Toilet Bowl. NC State at Duke? No, not NC State at Duke. I think they'll be just fine. Let me look at something else. Just, I guess, okay, and then you just scroll down and it's a bunch of nobodies. Akron versus Kent State. Well, that'll obviously... I mean, that'll be a G5 toilet bowl. I think we all know that. I got the shirt, Squid. Give me a minute and I'll send you a pic. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I cannot wait to see that. Favorite quote from week-to-week games. Penn State took your spot. Yep, clown of the week. I do remember saying that. Yeah, no, that was pretty humiliating. Penn State taking your spot off the bat. I mean, they had it locked up, and then they lost to Michigan. Blew it away. What week is Georgia versus Bama? I think it's week 5 again, if I'm right about that. Yep, week 5. Alabama at Georgia, 7:30. That's going to be a good game. Kent State versus UMass. POV, Josh Heupel poisons Kirby Smart and combines Georgia and Tennessee, making Tenja, and they use the power of friendship to stop Lane Kiffin and his Squirrel Army in the SEC Championship. This sounds like some WWE type of shit. This sounds like one of my dreams I had where I was like sleeping right before the semifinals, where like Notre Dame was playing Penn State, and then there was like some moment in time where like it was like one of these moments. It was like right before the end of the game. Notre Dame was up, they were taking a knee, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, look who's coming in from the east. Northern Illinois is here! And then Northern Illinois just goes in and everything blows up. It was like something like that. Check Instagram. All right, I got you. I got you, brother. Illinois might go 12-0. They're not going 12-0, but they definitely could win like 10 games. Illinois is definitely a playoff squad this year. I could definitely see that being the case. Aren't y'all ready for the Invesco QQQQ Atlanta Gridiron Classic? Oh my gosh. The fact that we've gotten to that point scares me. The fact that there's a branding on that and they call it a classic, it concerns me by a lot. Because it makes it seem like they're going to be doing this every year. And they're just not going to have any more, campus games. That would be so stupid if they did that. And that's definitely a reason why I hate neutral site games, and it takes away from the crowds. All these neutral site games, they absolutely need to be, on campus. The only reason Georgia Tech didn't have theirs on campus this year was because they're doing construction in their stadium at that point. They're not going to be able to do that game there. So I get that. But if that continues and like next year we're talking about the same thing, then yeah, that's going to be a big problem. They're going to get a lot of backlash for it. Some of you guys don't think anybody would dare wear the merch, but I can confirm that you're wrong. Hell yeah. And it came out so nice too. That's the thing I was worried about. I was like, how's that gonna look when it's on the shirt? And look at how nice it came out. And it's also in Alabama colors. So it makes perfect sense. Incredible. Great job there, Maddie. Great job. Looks wonderful. Clown of the week. I've got to get mine. I've got to get my Clown of the Week shirt in orange. That is some serious drip right there. How are Georgia versus Bama tickets $281 more than Ohio State versus Texas? It's that SEC money, man. Different leagues, different money.
You might as well be in different leagues, not conferences, different leagues.
Some neutral sites are okay. I mean, it has to be extremely rare for me to be like, this is okay. I think the only time you should really even use a neutral site game would be at week 1 or during bowl season. To me, that's it. Even for the Jacksonville games and the Texas Oklahoma rivalry, the Rivalry, I feel like it would be so much better if both of those games were done on from campus to campus. Squidtard merch attracts all the ladies. I've yet to confirm that, but I'd be willing to give it a shot. I haven't worn any of my merch on campus yet, so I'm going to change that, and I'll tell you guys how it goes. Should I make a team in Cultural 26 called the Squidtard Oranges and make them 122 overall with 11,267 Josh Heupel and Nick Saban? Well, we already have that. The Tard Area Squidtards. You should have watched my Dynasty. They ran through mostly everybody in that last season. And yeah, Tard Area Squidtards. Extremely elite program now. We're going to start that back up after this season, so stay tuned for that. Not only that, but I did make a couple of adjustments. I buffed up the stadium. Now we actually have a Coliseum now. It's not that small ass UTEP stadium. Yeah, I was thinking of calling it the Cotton Bowl, which is why I kind of stuttered right there when I said Red River Shootout, or Web as most people call it. Yeah, natural disasters, sometimes that can't be prevented. And in some cases, what they do when that happens is rather than putting it in a neutral site, what they do is they just take it to, instead of you're playing at home, you're playing on the road. And I mean, the argument, of course, against that is, well, it screws over some teams who thought they were playing at home. And now, guess what? Now they're having to play on the road. Now they're going to have to prepare completely differently than how they were preparing earlier. You know, and that's just the way football goes sometimes, is the way I see it. And yeah, I tried to, for a lot of the shirts, a lot of the customization for the merch, I tried to get in as many colors as possible. I mean, since you guys are the fans here, I did want to let you, I mean, I did want to give you, you know, the shot to give some of your own merch suggestions, because I'm down for whatever. I'll drop some more merch for you guys. I've got a All-Star Podcast shirt coming up in a bit. I'll leave a post about that. You know, I'm down to hear whatever suggestions you guys got. The one game they played at Bristol Motor Speedway was cool. That was cool because it did break the record for the biggest crowd, and that was really cool. Yeah. Like I said, Tennessee, big crowd. Squid, have you seen Aguilar in person yet? No. I haven't been on campus in over like a few months, and he only got into Knoxville over the summer, so yeah, I have not seen him. Not in person, at least. Ohio versus Marshall needs to be brought back. Playoff teams, sir. I mean, there are some ancient rivalries that I do think need to be played every single year. One that I think is really stupid that they're not playing every single year is the Backyard Brawl. I don't know why they're not playing that year by year. They play it this year, but they stop next year. And I don't understand why. They need to make that a yearly thing. And they need to have Georgia. I mean, some might not agree with this because Georgia Tech has already got an extremely hard schedule. But I feel like if Georgia Tech played another team from the SEC, that would be great too. Or Tulane. Make Tulane play a team from the South every single season. They played Oklahoma last year, I think. I think they need to do it again. SoundFX09. Welcome another member of Tard Area. Thank you for joining the roster, buddy. Let me add you onto our list of people. Thank you for joining that roster. I'm going to move down. I got to move it back up. Yep. There we go. I don't know if you want to pin that merch link, but I posted it. Yeah, I'll pin it. There you go. If you guys want to check that out, that's the link to the merch. If you guys want to go see some of the stuff that is in there. Squid, you should make yourself lucid dream in a fever dream where an army of your channel logo fights an army of scrambling Tom Brady's inside of a stadium the size of India. I should do that. I take enough Seagrams and yeah, I probably will. That sounds like something that's going to happen after Tennessee loses a game. Intro for the toilet bowl should be how you open up the Big 12 video with the toilet. Yeah, I probably will do that. I'm going to have to pour some chlorine on it, though, to make the video for it. Did you grow up close to Knoxville? I'm born and raised in Knoxville, actually. I've never moved out of here, and I know the day that I do end up moving out is going to be extremely tough. Because thing is, I mean, I know it's going to be extremely weird for the day that I eventually do move out. Because I'm 23 right now. Eventually, I'm going to grow up, move out of here, start my own studio. Might get lonely over here. It already does feel kind of lonely. The only company I get during the day, since everybody I know is working, the only company I get is my cats, Scooter and Smokey. And all they do is come in here, get under the bed, and start trying to chew on shit. So, yeah. By the way, I did do a little bit of adjustment to these bed lights. Because, again, those dumbass cats ruined it. But now this works. So, hooray. More lighting. One thing I need to do for sure is that once I get a much bigger studio or whenever I move out, for whatever happens, I think this room needs a couple of more customizations. Because I like the way this room is styled. I just think there's so much more I could do with it. But it's just, it'd be such a pain in the ass to move everything around. Not to mention this is the same room I sleep in. And a lot of people, especially the ones that do this stuff full time, you know, they have a specific room for it. Like, specific room for streaming and doing content. And everything around them is just, you know, add-ons to that. I don't have that luxury here because this is my bedroom after all. So, you know, there's my bed. You know, some of my nightstand, the dressers and all that. If I had two separate rooms for that, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Squid with the horns down would go hard on a t-shirt. Ooh, yes. Does this scare you? I might have to make one of those. What do you think? If I were to make a shirt or a hoodie or both where I just do the horns down or just have just my hand as the horns down, would that be great? What text would you guys want for that? Would it be sue me or does this scare you? I feel like does this scare you would work well because they're scared. Woo! Woo! The horns down! Woo! What's your thoughts on Arkansas versus Tennessee becoming an actual rivalry? No, it's not even a rivalry. It's just an SEC battle. We barely ever face each other, and the only reason why people want it to be a rivalry is because Arkansas just continuously beats up on Tennessee. So, I mean, you could bring that up for a lot of teams. I mean, there are a lot of people saying that Georgia versus LSU's a rivalry, but that's only because LSU and Georgia just have really, really good games, and both teams wound up being ranked a lot of the time that they play. 2025 clowns of the season, it would be difficult because I'd say Colorado, but Deion Sanders' health makes me reluctant to say them. Yeah, I mentioned that at the start. UNC is such a wild card because I cannot count out Bill. Certainly can't. That would be my pick at the start of the season. Is Bill? That's my pick right there. It's either going to be them, it's going to be Kentucky, it's going to be Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. It's going to be one. I feel like it's going to be one of those three. It's not a flag off the field. Last time I got horns down at DKR, I got hit with batteries. Holy shit. Dude, hit you with batteries? What the hell? It's assault. Go to jail for that. I would press charges if somebody threw. If somebody hit me with batteries, I'm pressing charges. Kentucky has no expectations to be clown of the season. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. They most certainly do. There were a lot of Kentucky fans that are already riding the Zach Calzada train. They most certainly could be there, yeah. If Bama had blackout jerseys like Tennessee, would they go hard? Just depends on how they do them, because I don't know how well that maroon would fit with a black uniform. If they did like something where like the jersey number was like white, I don't know. I feel like that would be pretty cool, but yeah. Which basketball arena have you been to? I went to Thompson Bowling Arena for a Tennessee-Florida game, and I filmed it as a vlog. I did it with the Vol-Star Podcast gang. Lucas, Julio, Sifs, they all went there with me. We had a great time. And yeah, I filmed the whole thing. It's a members-only video. But yeah, no, we had a great time there. Other than that, though, I haven't been to any other basketball stadiums other than like my high school, which really doesn't count. That's because that was just the gym. I've seen Calzada. He ain't good. And everybody except for Kentucky fans knows that. We've all seen Calzada. He's been in college for the last 6 years. He wouldn't have to last 6 years if he was any good. I know that for a fact. Ooh, pick up your shovels and get back to the coal mines, baby. Go Big Orange. Where's that at?
Pick up your shovel and get back to the coal mines, baby. Go Big Orange.
All right, see you later, Sven. Ain't Arbuckle at Oklahoma? Yeah. Ben Arbuckle's there. Yeah, they made a big jump in terms of offensive coordinator. I mean, that is about as good as something like Clemson getting Tom Allen as their new defensive coordinator, and Penn State getting Jim Knowles. The Jim Knowles pickup, I think, is the best, but that Tom Allen pickup, too, is really, really good. There have been crazy moments in Arkansas-Tennessee games. The Storner stumble and fumble. 6 overtimes. Houdini's in the house. Joe Adams. Yeah, no. They've had some crazy moments, for sure. I mean, but a lot of games that aren't really played all that often have had some big moments. Missouri and Colorado was one I can absolutely think of. The 5th down. Missouri-Kansas is another one. A lot of issues lined up with that as well. If you have the YouTube ad money, you can probably go to the FedEx Forum or the State Farm. I need a lot of YouTube money for that, which I honestly do not have. Calzada actually improved at UIW. Unfortunately, isn't Power 4 quality, especially. Yeah, I mean, just because, like, you know, you have experience with like an FCS school or even like a G5 school, it doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to transition over to the, you know, to the Power 5, especially at the SEC or Big Ten level, and suddenly, you know, still be really, really good. You got to have a lot of talent around you, and you got to adjust really well to that talent if you want to stick around. But there are some really good pickups, like from the G5, Ahmad Hardy going from Louisiana Monroe to Missouri. That is a huge pickup for Electric Lights. He's gonna go a long way with him. Like, that is a really good pickup right there. Peyton Manning on Tennessee beats Vince Young in the 40-yard dash because Peyton running a 1-2. They're both running a 0. Sometimes I think about, you know how you can adjust a player's stats in like Madden or college football? Imagine doing that with like a Peyton Manning, like a really slow quarterback, but then making him have 99 speed and 99 acceleration, and just watching Peyton Manning just be the fastest guy on the team. I laugh at the stupidest shit, I swear. Only 6 overtimes, laughs in 2024, clean old fashioned. Hey, I'll do you another one. Was it 2019? I think it was 2019, or it could have been 2021. Penn State, Illinois. That is still the record. I don't think anybody's ever beaten 9 overtimes. It is going to take a very long time to beat that. It wasn't 2018. No, Penn State, Illinois was not 2018. A&M LSU was 2018, yeah. And that was 7 overtimes, so... And I mean, that was, and also, additionally, that was the reason why they had to change the rules. Because that game, when did that game kick off at? Like 7:30? It didn't end until like 2 or 3 in the morning. By the time they were finished with that game, USC was almost finished with theirs, or Hawaii, or whoever else was playing. Because I mean, we all know Hawaii loves to play whenever everybody else is asleep. Good old Mountain West. God, that's gonna suck. I just realized, for the Mountain West, I'm gonna have to like, I'm gonna have to stay up until like 2 a.m. to watch UTEP. I don't want to do that. And like BYU Colorado week 5. Guess what? They've already announced the time for that's gonna be. The kickoff for BYU Colorado is gonna start at 10:15. And you got to watch all of these Big 12 games, even if they continue until 2 a.m., which sucks. I mean, that does suck, because I want to go to bed at a decent time, but I'm not going to be able to. And I mean, everybody knows that when it comes to Big 12, you got to be watching all the games. We saw it last year. I remember I got back from that Georgia-Tennessee game. We were walking back to my buddy Evil Twin. We were walking back to his apartment. Drove all the way back there. I made my video. It was already like midnight or 1 o'clock at this point, and Kansas and BYU were still going at it. Hell, you could see it. Kansas and BYU were literally going at it while I was in the middle of making my Crow video when I was doing the Georgia-Tennessee reaction. So, and for stuff like that, you've got to watch the entire thing. Otherwise, you could potentially miss one of the best upsets. And I have. I'll admit that I've done it before. I've slept through some bigger games, and then it woke up, and I was like, how the hell did this happen? So, I'm sure some of you guys have done it before. I'm sure you did it last year, the year before, when Stanford and Colorado played. And Colorado was up like, I think the score was like 36-7 at like half. Or it was like 29-0, something like that. They were up 4 or 5 touchdowns, and by that point, most of everybody went to bed because it's past midnight. Colorado's beating the life out of this shitty Tree team that has only won like 1 game. Yeah, time to go to bed. And I'm sure most of you woke up that morning, looked at the score, like, what? And thankfully, I did not do that. I actually stayed up to watch that game. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. And once they cut the lead within 2 scores, I was like, okay, I've got to watch this. I've got to watch this. I know that for a fact. Thoughts on Taylor Green from Arkansas? A good quarterback with better talent around him than he did last year. So unless if Arkansas crashes and burns again and Sam Pittman gets fired, Arkansas should keep his job alive this year. BYU Arizona State last year was the dumbest game I've ever seen, and it was glorious. Yeah, when they rushed the field with a second left, yeah, I've seen that happen plenty of times before. I mean, the most infamous one we all know is the Bluegrass Miracle, where Kentucky LSU, the Bluegrass Miracle. LSU throws the deep bomb. They catch it for a touchdown. Kentucky thinks that they won, though, because it was a tip pass that led to a touchdown. They didn't know it, though, but everybody just immediately started rushing the field when they saw the tip pass. So you've got all these Kentucky fans that have rushed the field, yet they lost. The only time anybody besides Clemson has ever rushed the field for losing. Reminds me of last year's North Carolina-Minnesota game. North Carolina makes the game-winning field goal on the road, but Minnesota still kicks off all the fireworks. Top 5 favorite bowl games? Top 5 favorite bowl games. I mean, like, are we just talking, like, bowl games in general? Or are we talking, like, actual games that were played? How hard is it to watch a Hawaii football game? Like, finding a service that airs it? ESPN Plus. That would be your best option right there. All of the G5 games that you're looking for, where they're like playing FCS teams, most of them are going to be found on like, you know, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, stuff like that. So we need a subscription for that in order to watch those games. Hell, they've done it to SEC teams before. I was watching, trying to watch LSU play against like Nicholas State last year, and that game wasn't even aired on TV. I had to go to ESPN Plus in order to watch it. Now, they do have some that are going to be streamed, like Liberty at UTEP. Yes, Liberty at UTEP Week 7. It just so happens that that's on a Wednesday, so that's going to be on CBS. Yes, UTEP on the CBS network. Who would have thought? But yeah, on Saturdays, extremely tough. And for poor Oregon State and Washington State, they got the worst of the draw because guess what? They got to deal with the CW network for the entire season. I would have rather just taken the ESPN Plus. Oh, the CW. That's the worst network to have yours on. I'm not even trying to dog the CW or anything, but it is the worst. Actual bowl games. God, well, I guess, I mean, it's kind of tough because I'm trying not to be biased, because as a Tennessee fan, I just want to be like, oh, the Music City Bowl, since you're playing it a lot. But to me, like, the number one worst bowl game is the Music City Bowl. I hate the Music City Bowl. After what they did to me last time I went there, that shitty-ass Nashville stadium, where they didn't even cover the end zones, you could still see the Tennessee Titans logo on it. They didn't give a shit about anybody there. It was an awful, awful, awful environment. So, yeah, number one to me, Music Shitty Bowl, no doubt. But that's the worst. For best, I mean, like, Rose Bowl's up there, since it's just such a historic, you know, stadium, historic environment. The oldest bowl game. I mean, the Orange Bowl, because oranges. Citrus Bowl, because you can't spell citrus without UT. Stuff like that, yeah. Pop-Tart Bowl is definitely getting up there, though. Yeah, love the Pop-Tart Bowl. Snoop Dogg Bowl, too. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl is pretty funny as well. I love the bowl games where they actually care about the people that are attending, and the Pop-Tart Bowl does that to perfection. So yes, I do love the Pop-Tart Bowl. Same with the Snoop Dogg Bowl. Both of those bowl games, they obviously put a lot of time and care into exactly how they were going to do all of the entertainment outside of the game itself. Make the Pop-Tart Bowl a playoff game. I'm in support of that. I don't think it's going to ever happen, but I would love that for that to happen. Yeah, Fiesta Bowl was pretty fun. When I was thinking about that question, I was thinking about like the best bowl games that I've ever seen. And there have been some very, very fun bowl games that I've watched for sure. The 2022 bowl season that was feeding us for days. Especially I think it was the Cotton Bowl. Could have been something else I'm thinking of. It was Tulane versus USC though. That was such an amazing game. Caleb Williams, Daria Mensa or somebody else, but it was so fun. Such a great game. And then the fact that Tulane won on that 2-point conversion, it beautiful. Duke's Mayo Bowl and Citrus Bowl are up there. Yeah, the Citrus Bowl has gone. One game that has certainly gone over such a rebuild is the Birmingham Bowl. Because the Birmingham Bowl used to be a nightmare for SEC teams. Now it's not even that bad. They got a new stadium. It's much better off than it was before. Michael Pratt, yeah, I was thinking of him. I was like, it can't be Daria Mensa because he wasn't around at that time. Yeah, just Michael Pratt. But yeah, no, great game. Loved that one. Yeah, Fiesta Bowl's still good, but I think the Tostitos, back when they had that branding on, I thought it was better off. Might just be the nostalgia kicking in. I don't know, because that does play a part. Don't forget that. Brett Bielema T-pose on Shane Beamer energy this season. Lane Kiffin can't compete. Boy, oh my gosh, I would love for South Carolina and Illinois to make the playoffs and then both those teams face each other. That would be perfection right there. Because after seeing Beamer crash out like that, I really, really want to watch them battle it out. Maybe they'll just battle out in a wrestling match. I don't know. Put him in a boxing match. Put him in a ring and say go. I would watch that too. Whatever primetime entertainment I can get my hands on at this point. I'm so desperate for college football to begin. I'm just glad to see anything at this rate. Remember the GoDaddy Bowl? If Squid played running back for the Vols, we would go 15-0 and beat Georgia at 888-6. Reminds me of prime legend from Tardaria University, Tyler Heller, who broke every rushing yard record while he was at Tardaria. Squid, did you see Thursday's butt fumble? I did not see that, unfortunately, but I think I saw it come up in a clip somewhere and I just forgot about it. Other than that, no, I don't really remember. What's going on, Big Orange? Thoughts on Wisconsin and Billy Edwards? I think they're done this year. Billy Edwards was not good last year under Maryland. Half the time he looked like he didn't know where he was or what he was doing. Wisconsin severely downgraded from Tyler Van Dyke, and that is saying a lot. If you downgrade from Tyler Van Dyke, yeah, you've got some problems, and they've absolutely got problems. I think they're going to be like Iowa this year. Remember how Iowa was so bad on offense that they literally could not score a point? That's what I think Wisconsin's going to be this year. I don't think they're going to be. I think they're going to have to do that thing like they try to do with Brian Ferentz, which is, look, if you score above 20, if you have an average of 25 points before halfway through the season, we'll let Luke Fickell stick around. But if it averages below that, then he's gone. They're going to have to do something like that. Otherwise, I think Luke Fickell is gone regardless. When will the 2026 SEC schedule be released? I want to know since I don't know. It's weird because in EA College Football 26, they did this in 25 too. After you go through 1 or 2 years of playing all of your conference opponents first on at home and then on the road. After those first 2 years, everything just becomes so weird because suddenly it drops all of your rivals, everything like that. It only keeps one rival, and then suddenly all you're playing is you're just playing all the teams that you didn't play last year. So I don't know if they're going to do something like that or if it's going to be a completely brand new system like we have yet to see. Hell, they might just go ahead and push it up to 9 games like we've all been wanting them to do because the SEC's too afraid to go to a 9 conference game schedule. I hate the SEC for that shit. Nothing pisses me off more than when you have Alabama or another one of these big-time SEC schools scheduling FCS or Group of 5 teams in November. November should be registered for only the best of the best matchups. That's it. And the fact that you've got some of these SEC teams that are going to be playing For example, you're going to have South Carolina playing Western Carolina on a Thursday when you got all the other SEC teams in big-time conference battles. I hate that shit so much. All those FCS games need to be reserved for September or early October. Anything past that and you're getting ridiculous. Yeah, Wisconsin is, they're cursed not only with just a terrible team, but a terrible schedule to go along with that. Terrible for them, not for everybody else that plays them. It might be homecoming for them. Can you go to a Memphis Grizzlies game? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think these SEC teams want a free win, though. Yeah, of course they do, but it's stupid. Everybody else is playing 9 games. All the you run around and talk about how great the conference is. You got the commissioner, Greg Sankey, talking about how this conference is just so higher up than everybody else, and yet somehow you don't even push the idea of going to a 9-game conference schedule. You want to prove that your conference is better than everybody else? That's the best way of going about it, is by doing whatever everybody else does, which is playing 9 games in the SEC. I know it's something they don't want to do because they've never done it, but they've got to do it at some point, because then you're just, that's the only excuse you're going to hear every single year. SEC team wins the national championship, it's going to be, oh, well, they only won it because they played an FCS team in the middle of November while these other teams are playing a gauntlet schedule. So I really hate for that to happen, but we'll see. Tennessee's playing UAB in November. I mean, I don't like it for my team either. Yes, it takes the stress off my back for a week, but even then I don't like it. Nine games will cannibalize the conference. Good. Then we'd be like everybody else. We'd be like the Big 10 and the Big 12 and Tank Conference. We'd be like all those other squads, because we need to be. I think if we're going to go ahead and run around with this whole different leagues thing, like Lane Kiffin put it,
you might as well be in different leagues, not conferences, different leagues.
Then we've got to play by their rules, which is playing a 9-game conference schedule. I think that's what we need to do. We need Mr. Tardaria to go to UT and help Heupel take us back to 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 back. Yeah, well, in order for us to be taken back to back, we've got to actually win one. So that's the first thing. UJ has historically scheduled cupcakes before Georgia Tech week, especially in Richt era. Yeah, exactly. And it's something that Bama's been accused of doing too, because every time they've won the Natty, it's always been, well, they've played like all these shitty teams in November. They've got this super easy schedule, and nobody's taking them seriously because of it. It's a reoccurring issue, and as long as it keeps going on, it's just going to keep happening over and over and over again. All right, well, I got to go ahead and call it. It's almost 10 o'clock. I wanted to get on here as usual and get with you guys for a good 2 hours before I move on. I'm planning on wrapping up this SEC video tonight. I'm going to get it done. I'll have it ready for you guys tomorrow. And then from there, I'm going to have the Before the Chaos videos. And I do have, you're going to see it in the SEC video, but I do have one more team breakdown. I haven't done a team breakdown in a while. I did Texas, Miami, Tennessee. I did all those teams. I even did Nebraska. But there's one more that's coming before the season starts. You guys are going to love it. You're going to love the content that's coming out. It's almost college football season. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers, and if I hit somewhere like there, I will be so happy about it. I greatly appreciate all the support you guys have given to this channel. You are all phenomenal people. There won't be a Saturday stream next week. There might be a Friday stream, though. I might stream Friday for you guys before I go on vacation, because then I won't be able to stream until probably, I don't know. I am going to be doing the Monday night stream, though. So Monday night, we're going to be starting the FBS report with me and Red. And then, yeah, I'll let you guys know. So, guys, appreciate y'all for being on here. Stay tuned for Monday as we start our brand new show. And I love you guys. See you all then. And, of course, power to